Hello and welcome to the first edition of the Library Show for 2021. I'm Mike Kletzley, and as a program note, my co-host Holly had a schedule change and was not able to make it today, but we do have a wonderful show lined up for you. We're going to be talking about our curbside services that will continue in 2021, including a new edition. We also have Miss Connie to do our story time, and we also have an interview with Miss Marissa from the library to talk about a new health initiative on our YouTube channel. Let's start with the curbside services because I know that so many of our patrons have been using those and we've been very gratified to offer those. They'll continue in 2021 and we have a new addition I'll tell you about in just a moment for that. As you know, you can access all of these services from the safety of your car, which is important as we progress in this pandemic. The new addition I wanted to tell you about is that you can now place holds through our website. You still can do it through the phone calling 932-BOOK or 932-2665, but we also are enabling you to place your holds through our website as you had done before the pandemic. So those are two ways to place holds, and of course once you do that, either way, you'll still need to call in and schedule a time for pickup, and then we will meet you out at your car to do that. Just a reminder, when you come to the library for pickup or for any of these services, you want to pull past the book drop, paralleling the building, the back of the building, and you want to pull into one of the numbered spots that are posted with signs, and those signs also have our phone number on them, which you would then call from your car and tell us that you're here and what you need, and then we'll run out what you had requested to your car. So that's how those services work. As a quick reminder, when you pull into those spots, please have already returned your returning materials to the book drop on your way into the numbered spots. We cannot take them from you by hand because of the virus, so obviously we want to make sure we're restricting the number of folks who handle those. And once we receive books through the book drop, they're placed in our garage for 5 days, and then after that they're thoroughly cleaned and returned to our shelves. So that's how that system works. We also want to make sure you know that we still offer the services we've offered before through the curbside. Those include faxing. And the way that works is you simply have your documents with you, or you can print them out once you're with us. And that faxing is done inside, and then we bring your originals back out to you, and then we collect your email address, and then we email you the receipt that comes to us by email so that you can prove that the fax went out. So that's how faxing works. As far as printing, there's a couple ways to do it. One is to pull into the numbered spots or that we've described before, and make sure that you are logged on to our tech Wi-Fi Lebanon Park Wi-Fi through your phone or your laptop or whatever you have. And then when you go to print, make sure that you're hooked up to our tech Wi-Fi printer, and then print that from that printer. And then we will gather those on the inside and we'll bring them out to you just like before. So that's how the printing works. And then one service that we're really excited about, it's pretty innovative we think, is the borrowing of a laptop while we are in pandemic. You can borrow one of our laptops as long as you're in our parking lot, either the numbered spots or the main parking lot. And then you trade us a laptop for your state-issued photo ID, which would be like a license or something like that. And then we give you the laptop to use while you're there. There is an hour limit, but that can be extended by switching out to another laptop as long as you saved your materials within that hour. We can switch you for a different one. And then you use that laptop while you're there, and then we trade you back when you're done. And of course, that laptop can be used for printing and for anything that you would use a computer for, and we can bring those prints out to you as well. We also offer scanning if you need documents scanned to a thumb drive. Either you're providing that or we can let you borrow one of ours, and you can scan documents to that and we can make sure that those go out. Of course, also we would offer email service, so if you have something that you need to have emailed out, simply have it on a thumb drive, or else again save it to one of ours that we bring out to you, and then we'll bring it inside and email it out, and then make sure that you get the original back or the thumb drive that's yours back. So that's how those services work. All of them are accessible for your safety from your car, and then of course to use any of those services, if you need our help, just pull into a numbered spot and call 932-BOOK or 932-2665. And then use that number to let us know what you need, and we'll come out and help you out. Again, those numbered spots are along the parallel part of the back of the building, but you drive past the book drop and into the numbered spots. So that's how those work. We want to thank all of those who have been using those services. The numbers keep growing every month, really, and the number of books going out that way, too, has been increasing steadily. So we appreciate everyone who's used those. Please spread the word, because we still run into people around town sometimes who aren't sure what all we're offering, even though the building's closed. So please let folks know that we are still offering those curbside services, and let them know they can call us anytime for some help with those. So that's what we want to let you know about curbside. Up next, we'll have an interview with Miss Marissa Redenbaugh. She is a great asset to our staff at the library, and she has a new health initiative through our YouTube channel. See you in a little bit.
You can sit with me, imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child.
So let's join hands, book people unite, unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time.
One book could be the first thing helps to change a life. Book people unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it. My support team never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew who I could become as a person. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to the Library Show. I am joined now by our juvenile librarian, Marissa Redenbaugh, who's been a guest before, but we're having you back because you have a new project.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well, sure. I understand you and Holly are developing a bi-weekly segment, and it's going to be about health and nutrition on the library's YouTube channel.
Yes, it's very exciting. We are going to be doing this every other Monday, and we're going to have various topics relating to health.
Nice. That sounds exciting. Now, you're the perfect person for this. Did you say something, Joe?
No, I just punched wrong.
Ah.
Go ahead and start with you're the perfect person for this.
Okay. So, Marissa, you're the perfect person for this new project because you are going to bring quick informational subjects or information to the subject. So you are very much the person to lead this thing, you and Holly together. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so my background is not actually in library science, although I've been doing this for 5-ish years.
Mm-hmm.
My background is in agriculture and nutritional sciences. So those are my bachelor and master's degrees, respectively.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that lends itself well to this project.
It does, yes.
That's exciting. Now, you have an interest in this, of course. Tell me what brought you to that interest growing up or to those degrees that you got.
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the University of Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
which is a big agricultural school.
Yes.
I got interested in the agriculture there, and so that's how I got my agricultural degree. I knew I wanted to get my master's, but I thought I might want to change fields, so I moved over from the College of Agriculture to the College of Medicine and got my nutritional sciences degree to help people link the connection between where the food they eat comes from and how it affects their body.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we just assume that the food grows at Kroger or at Aldi's or wherever, but there's a process, and
Yeah.
that process can lead to health pluses or minuses.
Right.
Okay. Well, tell me what topics you might discuss on this new show called The Health Spot, am I right?
It's called the Health Spot, yes.
Okay. What might you be discussing?
Yeah, so some of the topics could include goal setting, common myths about various food groups, fad diets, things like that might be confusing for people.
That's neat because people can use that kind of information, I think. And speaking of timeliness, this is the New Year's resolution time. This is our first show in 2021, and people are probably making and hopefully not breaking those New Year's resolutions. Some of those involve food, I would assume, or food habits. So what can your show offer us as we kind of wrestle with those things?
Yeah, so I think the number one thing that people should remember when they're making these New Year's resolutions is to not make unrealistic goals. So if you're at point A, don't make a goal to immediately start doing something that might be at your point Z. So you want to try to incrementally be realistic about what kind of time commitment you've got, what other obligations you might have, and try to do things in smaller increments so that eventually you can lead a healthier lifestyle overall.
That's good advice because a frustrating goal makes it much more difficult to complete.
Correct.
Nice. Okay. We have an our library has an extensive collection of health and fitness books. Did you bring some with you today?
I did.
You want to show us some of those?
Sure. And most of these I've read or flipped through, and a couple of these have been recommendations given to me that I just haven't quite gotten to yet. So the first one I have here is called The Mind-Gut Connection, and it's written by Emmerin Mayer. This is really for someone who's very interested in the science behind things and how our food and what we eat connects to our brain function.
Okay. Looks like a nice book.
Yeah. The next one is one that people may be very familiar with. It's called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. And this is for just in general setting boundaries in your life and how to have those conversations with those in your life. Your friends, your family, your spouse, your children, things like that. And a lot of times people overlook the psychological impact that goals can have on them. And so it's important to have a good mental foundation when you get started.
That sounds good. And again, with resolution time, goals are a topic.
Yeah. This one is called The Road Back to You. It's been very popular lately, especially in 2019. It's about the Enneagram personality test, and it's by Ian Morgan Crone. And this one I think is important for health because I really look at the World Health Organization's definition of health, and that includes some mental aspects. So when I have these books here, I do include some about mental health as well as physical health.
We often forget that piece.
Yeah.
Nice.
The next one I have is called Anxious for Nothing, and this is by Max Lucado, who's a fairly well-known author.
Yes.
I read this one and I found it to be very insightful.
That's good. Thank you.
The next one, it may be one that's a little bit surprising. It's called The Year of Less by Kate Flanders.
Okay.
And this is about maybe some New Year's resolutions that you might have that don't necessarily have to do with physical health, but really will declutter your mind
Nice.
by addressing your environment.
Nice.
The next one is called The Motivation Manifesto by Brendan Burchard. He's written a lot of books, especially about habits and how to create habits and break habits and the timeline for those. And I found this one to be short but very powerful.
Sounds good.
The next one relates to the family and children and maybe some goals you might have for your dynamic in your own household. And it's called Growing Up Mindful by Christopher Willard.
Nice.
And I have not read this one, although it is on my read list.
But it's been recommended, you said?
Yes. Yes, it has.
Nice.
The next one is called Strength and Stillness, and this is by Bob Roth, not to be confused with Bob Ross.
Right.
And this is about the benefits of meditation, but from a beginner standpoint. So maybe you're not quite as familiar with meditation, or maybe you're not sure what it does or how to start.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good primer on that.
Yes. This next one is really good for people who may be struggling with personal guilt or anxiety or depression, and maybe not sure where to even start setting New Year resolutions. And it's called The Gifts of Imperfection, and it's by the very popular author Brené Brown. This is one of her earlier works. She also has a documentary on Netflix.
Is that right? Didn't know that.
Yeah. This one by Hal Elrod is called The Miracle Morning. And The Miracle Morning is about how you can jumpstart your morning routine to help make your entire day more productive.
Nice.
The next one is called Beyond Beautiful, and this one really addresses the social media aspect of health and how social media and the news and the fashion and beauty industries can really set the stage for what we view as the standard for ourselves.
And sometimes it's not always the best standard.
Correct. This one is one of my personal favorites. It's called Intuitive Eating. This is actually the 4th edition, and it is by Evelyn Tribule and Elise Resch. And this is a pretty standard book for anyone in eating disorder fields or really just in the nutrition field. And I personally really love this one because it teaches you to let go of all of those negative thoughts and cultures around eating.
Like we said before, frustrating doesn't always help.
Exactly. And then the last one I have here is all about habits. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear.
That's been a popular book. I've seen that across the shelves a few times.
Yeah, it's been very popular.
Well, thank you for sharing those. Those are a great way to start the year. Maybe a book a month would help out.
Yeah.
Now, the Health Spot is going to be every other Monday starting the 11th of January.
Yes.
And that's at 1 p.m. And folks can access it through our YouTube channel.
That's correct.
Do you have any information that they need to know about that, or is it pretty self-explanatory?
That's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay.
So we have a lot of different things going on our YouTube channels. Various story times, crafts. Holly also does the family history family search. So, lots of different things happening on that channel.
Wonderful. So you and Holly are going to spearhead this, the Health Spot, and it will begin on the 11th of January at 1 p.m. and then every other Monday thereafter.
Yes.
Sounds like a good thing. Thank you for spearheading that, both of you.
Thank you.
When we come back, we'll have another great story from Miss Connie for story time.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Your hometown source, the Lebanon Channel, is now on YouTube.
I know how fortunate I am.
Just search City of Lebanon, Ohio to connect with everything that's happening right here.
And that's going to be an exciting part about this walking tour.
Subscribe to receive exclusive local content available only on the Lebanon Channel.
Wow, Neil Armstrong's coming to my launch. I was so excited about that.
That's the City of Lebanon, Ohio, now on YouTube.
That's what makes this Lebanon, Ohio a great place to live.
Yeah. Hi everyone, it's Miss Connie from the Lebanon Public Library. Thanks for joining me. Are you ready to help me wake the book bunny up? All right, let's say those words together and then we can hear our story. Here we go. Book bunny, it's time for story time to begin. Well, hello book bunny. Can you give all the boys and girls a wave? Can you wave back to the book bunny? Good. We're going to set the book bunny right over here. And now, should we see what's inside our mystery box? And we'll get a clue about our story. Mystery box, what's inside the mystery box? Mystery box, what's inside the mystery box? All right, let's take a little peek inside that mystery box and see what our clue is. Let's see what we have. There are two objects in the mystery box. Both of these objects you would wear on top of your head. Are you thinking? All right, let's see what the first one is. The first one is a hat. Now, this type of hat you might place on top of your head to protect it from the rain. There's another type of hat in the mystery box also. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is a big floppy hat. This is the kind of hat that you would wear if you needed to protect yourself from being out in the sun. Well, today our story is going to be about a bear with many different hats. And the story is called A Good Day for a Hat. You can see the bear on the front cover. Our end papers are covered with all different kinds of hats. Here's our title page, A Good Day for a Hat. Today is a good day for a hat, said Mr. Brown. But when he stepped outside, it was raining. I have just the hat for that, Mr. Brown said. Look, he put on a rain hat. But when he stepped outside, the rain had turned to snow. Oh, I have just the hat for that, Mr. Brown said. But when he stepped outside, a band was marching by. I have just the hat for that, Mr. Brown said. But when he stepped outside, there were magical rabbits loose on his lawn. I have just the hat for that, Mr. Brown said. But when he stepped outside, there was a rootin' rodeo. I have just the hat for that, Mr. Brown said. But when he stepped outside, it was time for the big Bear County cook-off. I have just the hat for that, Mr. Brown said. Look, he has a chef's hat on. But when he stepped outside, there was a great fire-breathing dragon. I have just the hat for that, Mr. Brown said. But when he stepped outside, he was sailing the high seas. Oh dear, said Mr. Brown, I have just the hat for that too. But I'm on my way to Miss Plum's house and I'm already very late. So when Mr. Brown stepped outside again, he was prepared for anything. Look at that, Mr. Brown has every hat piled up on top of his head now. Finally, Mr. Brown arrived at Miss Plum's house. When he stepped inside, all of his friends were there. Surprise! They yelled. Mr. Brown was so startled that all of his hats tumbled from his head. Oh, yes, said Mr. Brown. It's my birthday. And Miss Plum said, I have just the hat for that. Look at that. They gave him a party hat for his birthday. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I'll see you the next time. Bye.
Welcome back to the Library Show. We want to thank you for joining us for this very first edition of 2021. We also want to thank you for all of your support of our library in the difficult year of 2020. Our patrons are the best, and we at the library want to thank you for your continued support. We want to let you know that we'll continue to offer the services that you've come to depend on from us, and we're happy to do that and hope that we can continue to meet your needs in 2021. I want to thank you all, and we will see you next time.